our podcast. This again is Mary, and that is
This is
Anne.
Anne. Sisters.
Ooh, our middle sister will probably be in future videos, but as of now, she's in Richmond. And what we're doing currently is every 2 episodes of Degrassi I watch, which Anne thinks is the superior show of all time. She has to watch 1 episode of Stranger Things, which I think is the superior show of all time. And neither of us really want to watch these shows. So this is like our trade and bargaining off.
Well, I will say this. Mary's been given a lot of hate to Degrassi.
Hey, I've been watching it.
Okay, I've been watching it. That's not very praising. It's not that I hate Stranger Things or think it's terrible. It's more that I've just been living under a rock and not watching it, and I was not going to watch it of my own volition, but I've enjoyed it so far.
So I started her on episode 2 just because I didn't know if she would actually continue watching, and I've just seen the first episode I think 4 times, and it's only the first episode I've seen 4 times, and so I actually think now that we're doing this 2 episode, 1 episode trade off, the ratio, I think I actually might make her go back and watch the pilot because I feel like when she gets to the end of season 1, if in all hope she'll go on to season 2. When she finishes season 2, she's not gonna be like, oh yeah, there's the pilot. I missed that. And now I'm like, am I ruining my sister's experience? So we're gonna have to go back and watch the pilot. Either way, we're here to talk about the Weirdo on Maple Street, which is episode 2. And so Anne left me some things to talk about, some characters. And what do you think of the buyers, which include Will, Jonathan, and Joyce?
Okay, thank you for clarifying because I was like, who are the buyers? I was not paying attention.
Okay. Let me say it right now. She's saying I give hate to Degrassi. I actually did all the quizzes on BuzzFeed. I did not get into it, but I participated, if that counts. She was playing word cookies. My phone was upstairs when Degrassi was on. She was playing word cookies, and that's why she does not know who the buyers are. Now, what are your opinions on Winona Ryder's character Joyce? Let's start with Joyce.
Okay. Joyce, I know Mary has a semi-controversial opinion on Joyce. I haven't fully formed an opinion on her. I think she's in a quite stressful situation. She's a woman who had a rocky negative relationship with whoever the name of the guy was, Lonnie, and trying to raise 2 children, working in, I guess, a convenience store, a grocery store.
Yeah.
And her child has gone missing and her phone is electrocuted. So I feel for her. It's an unfortunate situation to be in, and she's definitely very distressed.
I had this problem more in the pilot. This episode I think was better, and like I've said, I've seen the pilot 4 times, so I'm pretty set on that. Is that I almost think Winona Ryder overdoes it. Like I really love her in Edward Scissorhands. I really love her in the Heathers, but something about her acting does not match the acting of the rest of the people in the show. Though in the last episode we watched, I did not mind it as much as I usually do. But I know that is a controversial opinion, so I thought I would share.
And I've only seen the 1 episode. I didn't think she was overacting for someone in her situation, which was like a very negative situation.
That's true.
And I did think it was also part of like the show was supposed to be there's an aesthetic there. There's an eeriness
there. Definitely is.
So I think the overacting was appropriate. I do think you're correct that everyone else is reacting in a really kind of mellow way to this, at least in this episode. And everyone's like,
that's a common theme. Like Hopper doesn't take his job too seriously, and then the course of the season you kind of see him change.
Right. No one is like really freaking out anywhere near close to this level. Like there's a moment where Jonathan Byers putting up like, have you seen Will? And everyone's like, oh, chill out, dude. It's like, well, it's kind of a big issue. I felt for Johnny.
They're the school bullies, like. Okay. Oh, well, this will just be our tease to the Wheelers, but are you more of a Jonathan or Steve shipper?
In this episode, I definitely preferred Jonathan. I felt he was in a rough spot, and he was just trying to protect his brother, which the flashback was him trying to protect his brother and show him the clash, which is really sweet. He's going to, help his mom, and I felt very bad for him. And then he was lurking in the corner while all those girls are at the house with the pool, having fun at the pool, and he's meanwhile like hunting off his brother who's been abducted by some unspecified thing. So that's sex. Mary was saying she doesn't really like Jonathan because he's lurking on this girl that is not romantically interested in him, as far as I can tell. I don't know. As far as I can tell, so far is not romantically interested in him, and he's just like taking a bunch of stalker pics of her.
That makes
My
my thoughts.
my response to that at that time was when we first meet Craig and Degrassi. The first scene is him hiding at a playground with a bunch of children in the bushes and taking a ton of photos of a 5-year-old girl. Didn't bother me then.
See, I'm not. I
Doesn't
don't
bother
want
me
to watch
now.
that episode. That's weird.
It's okay because if you watch the episode, you understand with Angie, his little sister, and also Craig's kind of weird. But so, so I was like, okay, it's not really appropriate behavior, but he's in a rough spot, so I felt bad, and I was glad.
That's kind of Nancy's response.
And I was
we'll
glad
see.
Nancy, stood up for him and said she was sorry when he was putting up the posters. Yeah.
Which is a great segue to the Wheelers. Now, you made a comment to me as we were watching that you thought the Nancy and Mike dynamic was very similar to the Lindsay and Sam dynamic in Freaks and Greeks.
Freaks and Greeks.
Freaks and Geeks.
I was getting hardcore Freaks and Geeks vibes from that family, which I really enjoy because I love that show. And also, I think just the whole retro aspect of Stranger Things it's a lot like Freaks and Geeks. They're in like this random Midwest town.
They're both in Indiana.
And is Freaks and Geeks in Michigan?
Oh, maybe.
But it's similar. It's a Midwest in the early 80s.
Yes.
I guess Stranger Things is the early 80s.
1983.
Okay, because Freaks and Geeks is 1980, and the main families, at least I guess you could say the Byers are the main family.
I actually argue that Mike is the main character even more than Winona Ryder.
Okay, so the Wheelers, which are the main family, have a pretty similar so far dynamic to the Weirs. The Wheelers and Weirs with the nerdy yet sweet, shrimpy boy and the girl who is the older brainiac brown-haired girl who is also, in addition to being really smart and nice, also like cool and does rebellious things. So I thought that was cool because I love Freaks and Geeks. So I like to see the show that I don't know if it was intentionally ripping off.
I don't think it was because there are lots of Easter eggs in Freaks and Geeks. There are lots of Easter eggs in Stranger Things, but most of them are relative to Spielberg movies. There's a lot of E.T. references, and there's a lot of the Goonies references. It's actually what got me to watch both of those movies. Never seen either of them. Loved Stranger Things. I was like, I guess I should see the core material. But as we are on Mike, and we are on that trio of Mike, Dustin, and Lucas, something I realized while we were rewatching The Weirdo on Maple Street is that Mike actually, to me, seems like the best actor, which I guess makes sense because he was the one in It. So he's really the only one who has a blockbuster outside of Stranger Things. Did any of those three kids, and this episode was not a kid-heavy episode. If anything, it was just Mike and Eleven. But did any of them off bat strike you? Because that's more of the first episode, which is where you might go back and watch.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that wasn't a kid-heavy episode because I thought there was a lot of the kids, and I liked the kids the best. So I'm glad there's more.
There is a lot more.
I mean, I loved Mike. He was such a sweetheart, and he was so patient with 11 when I think someone else would have just ran screaming. And I didn't see the first episode. I didn't see exactly what went on with 11, but he was very supportive. He was really, really sweet and really trying to communicate with her and be patient because he knew she was nervous. His friends, I didn't really have strong opinions on either of his friends. I guess they were funny sidekick characters. And I liked Nancy a lot too. Those were my definite favorites. I know
the fan favorite, and it's not my fan favorite, the fan favorite seems to be Barb. What are your opinions on Barb?
I don't live under a rock totally, so I know there's justice for Barb. I know there's Steve is like related to John Ralphio. I knew who 11 was and that she eats waffles. That's what I know about Stranger Things. That's all I knew before starting the show. From my understanding, Barb's not really like a major character. Maybe that's why she needs justice for not being a major character. It's not fair. I knew her from being a really annoying character on Riverdale, but when I just like, I thought she would be really annoying on Stranger Things too because I really didn't like her in Riverdale at all. But I liked her in this episode. She's really doesn't want to go to Steve's party.
Relatable.
Yeah, and she gets to the party and she's kind of she's acting in a way that is a little immature but very, very understandable, essentially. And that she's telling Nancy, you can't hang out with Steve. You can't hang out with Steve. You don't know what you're doing. And then Nancy's like, yes, I do also chill out. We're all trying to be nice to you, but it's rough, and I think it's very relatable in that she was obviously in an environment that even if people weren't being mean to her, she wasn't fitting in and she wasn't comfortable, and she's seeing her best friend sort of drift away from her, and then when she tries to fit in just to be nice with the shotgunning the beer, it doesn't help things. So I felt for her there. I think that was a very typical teenage problem, seeing your friends go different directions than you and trying to stop it, even though you really can't stop that.
Well, I'm looking at all these notes you had, and I actually think we don't need to talk about all of these.
Cool.
But what I was going to ask you is, how do you think this mystery element is playing in? Clearly, we know that Millie Bobby Brown, who plays 11, has these psychic abilities, and I want to know, do you have any predictions? Do you have any thoughts?
Since I'm really gonna be like pulling this out of thin air because I really don't have predictions. Also, I haven't seen the first episode,
Yeah, that's
so
what I'm saying. We're going to go back. We're probably going to go back as
there's
soon as we can get
definitely
the
a
TV.
supernatural force communicating with the buyers. And definitely, obviously, that was the point of the episode. But 11 is related to that force. She was also taken against her will by some adults to some place. My prediction is that these adults are performing experiments with these kids like 11 and Will, and I think that's like the small scale issue, is that the adults are performing experiments on kids like 11 and Will, but then there's maybe like a big scale issue where they're just a front for the superpower stranger thing that is really going to unleash havoc on this Indiana small town. Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good conclusion. We're in 11 minutes, so we want to wrap up. I'm Mary, and this is Anne.
Well, I want to say I want to say how I rate the episode.
Oh, of
Okay.
course.
Well, I thought it was really good. It's I don't really watch any mystery shows, and I don't like horror. And this is not really horror at all. But this was just like, oh, it's like Halloween, so I'm
It's
not gonna watch
sci-fi. I see what you're saying.
it. But I didn't think it was too heavy on the sci-fi, or in a way where it wasn't relatable to me personally. I liked all the characters, and I thought it moved at a normal pace. I give it an 8 out of 10. Definitely looking forward to seeing the pilot, and I liked the whole retro vibe, even if I didn't understand the Spielberg references. I thought that made it work even better. You know,
Yeah.
cool.
Well, I think this has been a successful video. I think our last video has been successful, and I can't wait to see the next episodes with you of both Degrassi and Stranger Things.